morning, everyone, and welcome to the Grebner Show. This is Scott Kerker, along with Metamore head football coach Jared Grebner. Coach, went over to Canton last Friday night. Tough road loss. But I got to give Canton some credit. They played awfully well.
They did play well. They have some big guys up front. Their quarterback's a good athlete. They have some good receivers, and they were able to take some advantages of their opportunities. And it was one of those games where we started off a little bit slow, and they took full advantage of some of those things. But I'll give credit to our kids. Despite that slow start, when we came out the second half ready to play, got the big kickoff return for the touchdown that kind of got the juices going a little bit. Defense came up with stops. Offense was able to score, but we weren't able to sustain it for quite long enough in the second half. Kind of dug ourselves too big of a hole in that first half to overcome. But we loved our kids' fight, and just their attitude that they came out and said, "Hey, we can get this done. We can come back." But it just wasn't meant to be on Friday.
You fell behind 29-8. You scored right before halftime on a really nice play, nice run play by Ethan Petrie. That gave us a little bit of momentum going into that halftime locker room, like you said. When we came out and scored on that opening kickoff return and brought us to within 7. And then, like you said, your defense, I thought your defense played awfully well. They had one breakdown the entire second half. Unfortunately, that was for a touchdown, but you guys got a blocked field goal attempt. You guys did a lot of nice things in that second half. But like you say, you dug yourself a little bit of a hole, and that was tough to come back from. You did take the lead, though, the second half.
Yeah, and part of that was, I don't know if you run out of energy a little bit trying to make those comebacks. You see stuff like that in basketball all the time, where you're down by 20, you make a furious comeback, and you spend a lot of your energy making that comeback, and you pull within 2, or maybe you take the lead, and then the tank might be empty at the end. But that's why it's a 4-quarter game. You got to play quarters 1 through 4, and it was a game where I thought we played well in the second half, but you got to play those first 2 quarters as well.
Right, and they did. You're right. We fought to the very end, and it was just a break here and a break there, and we just right now we just can't seem to get over that hump. And we had some turnovers. We were kind of able to overcome those turnovers. We just couldn't get them to turn the ball. I think they had one. They had an interception.
Yes. Yeah, Ryan Bogdan had the interception. He was able to get underneath. Wonderful play by them. That was the only stop that we had all game long in the first half. It would have been nice to get a couple more stops, but it wasn't meant to be.
But now you move on. It's the second season. You're in the playoffs. We have to travel down to Marion. We talked a little bit about them before we went on TV. But big team, and you said they were polished. We've played them before, I believe, in 07 and 08, I believe.
Correct. And thank goodness those games happen to be here. That the bus ride adds a different element, that's for sure. But we're looking forward to our opportunity.
Yeah. You have to go, I think you go a little further than Florida to get there, don't you?
It's going to seem like that by the end of it.
Yeah, it's a long bus ride. I don't think you can quite get there from here. It's a long ride. But anyway, you go down there, and 5A, there's a path. You're going to have to beat some teams, but you always like to believe that this team, we've kind of had some bugaboos the last 4 weeks, but they're a better team than that. And at some point, you hope it clicks again, and I think it will. Now, whether or not that'll be enough to beat one of these teams in the playoffs, we'll see. But Marion is a pretty decent draw.
Oh, bottom line is once you get into these playoffs, every single team's 0-0. It's a brand new season. They're a good opponent. They do a lot of different things well. whether it's in the run game, on the perimeter, whether it's passing the ball. They have weapons on the outside as well, and then they can even line up real tight, and they can just try and get real physical and try and just go north-south on you. So they do a lot of different things well on defense. They fly around. They like to attack and swarm to the ball. And so we definitely have a tough task ahead of us. But I have complete confidence in all of our coaching staff, all of our players, because I think that we definitely have the ability to play well, to play how we're capable, and to hopefully take us on a ride for as long as we possibly can.
Actually, I think it was 06 and 07 that we played them.
And that was a long time,
Yeah.
a long time ago. Nowadays it's hard to remember what happened yesterday, and just worrying about the future.
Yeah, and they've always been an offensive first team, I believe. When we played them here in 07, I think we beat them like 62-34. That was a high score. I think it's the highest scoring semifinal game in IHSA history, I think.
I remember that game. They kept getting us on crossing routes quite a bit, and it was good that night that, hey, our offense came to play. It's a high-scoring affair. Everybody likes that, back and forth atmosphere, and kind of like the track meet. Unless you're on the wrong side of it.
Yeah.
If you're on the wrong side of it, it can be a long day. But when you're on the right side, those can be a lot of fun. Not always for the defense, because you seem like you're out there all the time, with teams scoring real quickly. But that was a fun day, and hopefully we'll be fortunate to have another fun day on Saturday.
I think the quarterback for Marion both years was Matt Brown, who went to ISU. I think he's their all-time leading scorer, or passer.
Yes, and that day was, you don't see very many days out on Malone where you have two guys that make NFL training camps out on the same field with their quarterback, and with Brett Herman and Caleb Turbush were on Malone Field that day. And so that was a game that was full of tremendous athletes. It's great memories, and hopefully we can make some great memories of our own.
When you look ahead, though, to this playoff run, or the second chance you get, you have to go on the road the first game. You're going to have to go on the road at some point anyway. And if you are fortunate enough to get a win, then you get that second game at home, and probably a second game at home. But you look at those teams that are in there, and there's some teams that you'd like to believe you've got a good shot at.
We believe we have a shot with anybody. I think this team is capable of doing great things. Of course, the caveat always is, you got to play well. In order to beat good teams in the playoffs, we have to play like we're capable of. I know we have it in us, and I'm looking forward to the challenge. I think all the kids are too.
Yeah, and it's that's really all you can ask for. And during this little skid that we've had, you never have been able to say, they gave up on it. They never did that. Things didn't go their way, but it wasn't because of lack of effort.
Oh, and that's kind of how life goes sometimes. You'd like life to go perfect, and unfortunately it doesn't. There's always going to be hiccups along the way. There's speed bumps, and we've had a couple speed bumps here in the last couple weeks, but the kids keep fighting, and they keep bettering themselves, and we chalk this up to some learning experiences, and hopefully it all comes together at the right time.
You don't have to like it. Hopefully you don't like losing.
No.
But you have to accept it.
Yeah.
And I thought, they've done a good job at that. And, your coaches, you guys deserve a lot of that credit, because you can see the pain in our kids' faces when you're going through the line shaking, or the handshaking line, and you can see that it hurts, and that's not a bad thing. But they've always done it with some class, and you know, I don't want to say that there's silver linings to losing, because nobody wants to do that. But, you know, that's what makes me believe that once we get into the playoffs, we're going to have a shot.
You know, the kids give it their all out there in the field, and you know, there's no reason they should ever, you know, hang their head, because the effort they always give is always tremendous, and they keep coming back, and they're fighting and fighting, and that's not really a credit to us coaches. That's a credit to the senior leadership. You know, those seniors, they've put a lot of time in. They've been in this program for 4 years. They know, you know, what it takes to be successful, and you know, we're just trying to get over that hump. You know, it's one of those things where we keep saying it seems like, you know, we're close. One thing here, you know, finish a drive, or stop them on that third down conversion. You know, things could have been a lot different, but at some point, we collectively just have to be able to get to that turning point and get to that phase in the game where, all right, we finally did it, and now it's just all downhill from here.
Right. And you know, it's tough to do when things aren't going your way, and that's what makes when you do win that much more special. And I think that's one thing that no matter what the sport is, when you've had a long line of history, you've got, you know, Metamora football has had a huge history of success, and a lot of times people forget just how hard it is to sustain that success. You know, we go back into the 70s and even into the 60s, where the Metamora, now we've had some down years, we've had some down stretches, but for the most part, Metamora football has been pretty darn good. And you know, I've always said we've got to enjoy the wins a lot more, and that's tough to do.
You know, and it's something that sometimes you don't want to take for granted. You want to celebrate those a little bit more, but it seems like whether you're a coach, whether you're a player, you're always looking at, all right, the next opponent, and it just seems like there's such a quick turnaround when you're trying to get ready for somebody new. But that is sometimes you got to think to yourself, man, winning's a lot of fun. You know, let's take a step back, enjoy it, you know, and learn from some of our lessons when we do lose. But this game of football is just a lot of fun.
It is.
Competing out on the field, no matter what the sport is a lot of fun. Being around this football team is a lot of fun, regardless of some of the outcomes. You know, there's always going to be great memories, but it is a lot sweeter when you win. And I think all the players would agree with that as well.
Players, coaches, parents, everybody will agree with that. But Coach, good luck Saturday, and bring home a W.
We're going to do our best, and you know, it's going to be a long road trip, and we're going to put forth our best effort. The kids will be ready to go, and you know, we'll see how things shake out.
That'll do it for the Grebner Show. We'll see you next Saturday in Marion.